Hello again. Let's take a little break from engine stuff to talk about turbochargers. Everyone's excited about turbochargers, so I'll go over some of the turbos I've used and I'm going to use. I am not a turbo expert. I can't read a turbo map, compressor map to save my life. I know bigger is better, of course, right? But no, that's not necessarily true. I mean, you need to pump more volume of air through the turbo, through the engine to make more power to a degree. The bigger it gets, the more lag you get, the less bottom end you have, da-da-da-da-da. You know, you can't just put a huge, humongous turbo on it and say, oh boy, it's gonna make 100 more horsepower. It doesn't work like that. So this right here is the compressor housing from an original Sunbird 2-liter turbo. As I recall, it's a 4848. You see right there, it says AR 48. I believe if you look on the exhaust housing, you'll see 48 on it. What's this say? This says Garrett. Okay. Somewhere on here, I want to say it says 48. It's down here. Upside down. Whatever. Who cares? Take my word for it. I believe it's a 4848. 4848 basically is a measurement of the, I believe it's the volume of the compressor side to the exhaust side. I think it's as simple as that. This is this was what they call a T25 turbo, which again, a T25 is one size, one class of turbo. T28 is in the same class and family, I believe. So the 28 to me means it can flow more air. I'm sure there's more to it than that. I'm not an expert. I'm just telling you what I've learned through the years, what I've witnessed with my own eyes. So there's a T3, which is a much larger series turbo. There's a T4, which is bigger than that. A lot of it has to do with the mounting. The T25s, T2, T25, T28, they have an itty bitty little mount. It's very small, you know, the bolt spacing with this hole. And there's bigger than that. There's TD06 and TD this and hybrids and blah, blah, blah. There's tons of stuff. So basically what you want is the fastest spool up without lag. So you make killer bottom end, but you don't want it so small that you give up top end. So this turbo is teeny tiny. It's made for a small engine, a little bit of boost, to give us some great bottom end, and it's gonna peak around 9 PSI and then fall on its face and show's over. So this is the original Sunbird turbo that came on my car. Yeah, I believe it is. I think this is my original turbo, maybe, I forget. So I ran 14, 17 at 94, 83, call it 95 miles an hour with this turbo. And it was the end of the season. You know, the track closes in October for us. I had gone to the Hemmings Muscle Palooza first meet. I went 14, 17, and I wanted to go faster. So through all the reading I did online, I found that the Grand Prix Turbo, what's it, 8990, 9091, what the hell it was, Grand Prix Turbo, the 2.8 turbo they had, or 3.1 rather, they had a larger version of this turbo that I read was called the T28. More on that in a minute. So I luckily found one on eBay for 110 bucks. It was the grossest, cruddiest, most carboned up piece of shit I've ever seen. I had never taken a turbo apart, but I said, hey, for 110 bucks, if I screw it up, I screw it up. So it was essentially this turbo, and everything was so coked in oil and dirt and grease and shit that I could barely see the nut. And as probably most neophyte turbo rebuilders do, I didn't realize with left-hand thread and I snapped off the shaft. Naturally, I cried and I went online, or whatever I did back then. I guess I went online. This was around 2004, 2003, whatever it was. And I found a place, I think it was Limit Engineering maybe. Limit Engineering, all the Grand National guys I knew, usually John Craig. Limit Engineering is his company, Turbo. He was the guy, he was the cat's ass. He was it for Garrett. So I called John Craig and I bought a new, this is what, the turbine wheel, I believe they call it, on the exhaust side. And here it is. Isn't that sexy? I mean, one thing I noticed too was that this ring, if you look, that is actually a ring. My thumbnail is, that's a ring, like a ring on a piston. It's supposed to float like this one. It's a metal sealing ring. Look at that guy, huh? Moves, yay, wonderful. Seized up. So, not only did I break this thing off myself because I'm dumb, it wiped out the center of this guy here, the cartridge they call this. This is the center cartridge. I believe it goes that way. So I think they put a new seat in for me. I'm pretty sure I sent them this, and they went through it, machined it up, put a new seat in, and they gave me all the parts to rebuild it. They're all in a box over here. I never used them because, again, the track was closing. I wanted to go fast, quick. So I said, you know what? I looked at all the parts and I said, geez, I think the Sunbird exhaust side is exactly the same as the Grand Prix. The turbo in my car works fine. I couldn't get over 15, 16, maybe 17 pounds of boost. So I said, you know what the hell? I'll take my turbo. I'll take the compressor housing off. I'll put the Grand Prix compressor housing and the compressor wheel on it and approximate the Grand Prix turbo, right? I mean, again, I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know any better. I just figured, what the hell, I'll try it. And I did. And it was incredible. I picked up 40 horsepower. I went from 1417 at 9483 to 1361 at 98.9. You know, if you go from 95, call it 9483, that's 95, to 99, 98.9, that's what, 4 digits? That's 4, right? 40? Yeah, that's 40 horse. So that's how you look at it. Every tenth is 10 horsepower, is it not? So anyway, I picked up about 40 horsepower. The Grand Prix Turbo, they told me at the time it flowed, I think it was 30 pounds per minute. And the Sunbird Turbo was like 26 or 25. You know, it wasn't a whole lot. I mean, just looking at the two of them, you can see the Grand Prix compressor housing is so much fatter. I mean, you know, if you look at it right here, you know, the cross-sectional width of this section and this one, it's just so much fatter. I mean, right here, you know, right there. I mean, look at it. Look how much fatter the thing is. On the other side, the snail, whatever you want to call it, this side, again, it's just, this looks at the wastegate on it, but it's so much larger. I mean, it's got to push more air, right? I mean, again, I'm not a turbo expert. This is just simple, down and dirty calculation. And I put it in the car, and I went 13.6. You can't argue with it. That's all I did was change the turbo. I put the boost up as high as it would go. I want to say it went 17, 18 pounds. That was it. Show's over. So Grand Prix Turbo was an awesome upgrade for 110 bucks and a few hours of my time, whatever it took me. It was well worth it. You know, the exhaust side, I believe this is a stock Turbo Sunbird exhaust housing, I think, the elbow rather. It's not even 2.5 inch. It's like 2 inch 400 right here without the donut. So with the donut, it's probably 2 1/4 inch. You could probably mill it out on the Bridgeport or whatever and make it bigger, but you know, you're limited by the volume inside here, which, you know, doesn't look too bad. But anyway, that's what I ran. That turbo was amazing, night and day. I wanted to go back to that turbo because the car ran awesome with it. And I said, what the hell? I don't need to go super fast anymore. If I can run 13.6 when I want to, nothing wrong with that. I sent it to Limit, and Chopper, he runs the place now. I guess John Craig is retired. And I sent it in, and I said, dude, can you rebuild this thing? Or just, you know, look it over, give me a price. Either rebuild it or sell me something as good or better than this. And he called me back and said, dude, this turbo is a piece of shit. I was like, really? Because look at this thing. And I'm looking at it now. I'm like, holy crap. If I can zoom in. This blade looks like it ate a rock. It chewed the shit out of it. This blade suffered the same fate. I don't know what happened. I ran 13.6 just like this. It's stupid. So, you know, play-wise, let me zoom out now. There isn't a ton of play in it. I mean, you can see it moves a little bit. But what I'm told, as long as it doesn't hit the housing, you know, oil pressure will take some of that up. So this thing probably has, I don't know, 10, 15 thou in it. And you can check the exhaust side too. Kind of heavy. Grab the sucker and give it a push too. It's, yeah, same thing. A little bit of play, not a ton. This is probably pushing in the other way. Whatever, big deal. But he said, no, this thing's junk, dude. He can't find me the compressor fan. They don't make them anymore, and he can't find one. So that sucks. So I said, all right, what are my options? So we went through a bunch of stuff, and I'll show you what he decided to sell me in our next video. Isn't this exciting? Here we are again. Okay, and when I left you in my last cliffhanger, I was talking about the turbo I was upgrading to this year, or this round, or this forever, because I'm done after this. This is a Garrett. Here's the part number in the box. If you want to buy your own, knock yourself out. 896055-5003S. And I believe what this is called is a GBC 350. When I talked to Chopper about a turbo for this, he asked me what size engine it is, what's the car weigh, is it automatic or standard, what am I going to do with it, you know, all the usual questions. And I told him I made 262 wheel horsepower before, which is around 325 crank horsepower. I don't want to go any lower than that. I want to have 3-something horsepower. So the first turbo he recommended, I want to say, was a GPC, either 300 or 320. The 320 part, 300 part, that's the horsepower potential it has. I mean, that's a relative number. It's going to vary with your combination, of course, and your boost pressure. But I told him I want to run 18, 20 pounds of boost. That's it. So the first turbo I thought was a teeny bit small. I mean, to me, it's like, if they say this turbo should be good, you'll make about 300 horse, 325. I usually go bigger because it's like, what the hell? I want to make more power. What's the downside of that? If I have a little lag, he said there should be no lag difference. It's just strictly the volume this thing can push. So the difference in cost was like 50, 60 bucks. I mean, the other turbo was like, it was 850 or 860. It was like, holy shit, this turbo was like 911, 910. So I was like, well, in for a penny, in for a pound, right? So this turbo is a GBC 350. It'll make 350 horsepower and 18, 19 pounds of boost. It's beautiful. It's shiny. It's oil cooled only. You know, the other ones are the stock turbo Sunbird one and the Grand Prix are oil and antifreeze cooled. This simplifies the plumbing. I mean, sure, oil and antifreeze cooling probably lasts longer, but how many of us are driving these things 100,000 miles, you know? Nobody. So it again is he calls it a T25 based. I call it a T28, but they're all the same lineage. It bolts right onto the stock Sunbird manifold. It should take the stock elbow. I didn't try it yet, but it should. What else can I tell you? It's, I think this one is 34 pounds per minute, or that area, 32 pounds per minute. So it's going to make, you know, all the power I had, hopefully a little more, but it's brand new. I should be able to put it on and forget about it forever. This should be the end of my turbo thoughts. Like everyone says, this is my forever car, my forever pet, my forever home. This is my forever turbo. This is it. This is the end of the rainbow. I'm not buying anything else. So not at those prices. So this is what I'm going with. And let me stop here and I will show you some other turbos because we all like seeing junk parts, right? I know I do, so stand by. Hello again. Okay, here we go. This turbo is the one I ran after the Grand Prix turbo because I had bought a Garrett Super 60. Let me back up for a second. When I was building this car, I did a lot of web surfing on jbody.org, anywhere I could find. This kid, Dark Muck, he was a guy on JBody, started his own LT3 site, was a great site. Didn't last too long. And reading about turbos, I started reading how the Garrett Super 60 was awesome on the Dodge Neons and the old, K cars and shit. So I said, well, maybe I'll look at a Super 60. So I bought a Super 60 on eBay for like 300 bucks. And then this kid on JBody or Dark Muck's site, one or the other, this kid Sean, he had this Sunbird with a big Mitsubishi turbo, and he used to beat the piss out of it. And he was a good guy. I got along with him really well. And finally, one day he said, he probably messaged me and said, look, he's in the Coast Guard. I'm being deployed somewhere else. You can't take my car with me. It's a piece of shit, but it's got a brand new Opel engine he bought when he was in Germany from the Opel factory, he claimed. Has this Mitsubishi turbo, had Mitsubishi injectors, so he's like, take the car, you can have it. So I ended up going down there and getting it. I gave him a couple $100 for the car because you can't take it for free, but it was an 88 Sunbird GT coupe. So I parted the car out. I have the engine in my shed still. And just so you know, it was not a C20 GET. It's like a naturally aspirated motor. He didn't tell me that. Maybe it was brand new when he got it, but it's beat. It's not a Sunbird turbo engine, but it's chock full of the parts you need to, like crank rods, that kind of crap. So it ran. I mean, so I took the turbo off it, and this is it right here. What this is a Mitsubishi, I believe it's a 17C. This is off a Cyclone or a Typhoon, which says a 4.3 V6. It flows a hell of a lot of air. It has the capacity to make 400 horsepower on a Sunbird 2-liter, I believe, you know, the 2-liter engine. It's a T3 flange, which if I had a gasket nearby, I could show you. I think I might. Let me see what I got lying around. Hang on, let's take a walk. Come on. I thought I had a gasket for a Sunbird amidst all my junk here. Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? Let's see. Maybe I don't. I don't know. Oh, you know what? Let me look over here. Hang on a second. Follow me around the shop. Now, I don't know where it is. All right, doesn't matter. But it's substantially bigger than a T25 mounting flange. So this requires a T3 manifold. So my buddy Steph over in England, once again, he came through. He had bought two, I think they're M-Vox manifolds. There was a tubular steel one and a cast iron one. He decided he didn't need both of them. So I bought the tubular steel one, which is right here amidst the junk. And he kept the cast iron one. And, oh, no, that's not gonna do anything for me. Okay. So I ran that manifold, had it powder coated by a place in Washington State, and it held up pretty well. And this turbo was screwed up. I forget what was wrong with it. So I had it rebuilt, and Limit does not do Mitsubishis. They are a Garrett specialist. So they told me to go to a place called Blouch Turbo. It's B-L-O-U-C-H. They're very well known for Mitsubishis. So I had him go through it. He modified it so it could make a shitload more horsepower. And I ran this thing for years. I mean, I had it from, well, I want to say that's that year I ran the Grand Prix Turbo. I think it was the summer after. I ran that one more year. And then the transmission let go. I was backing up to go in the lanes, and I had no reverse. So I said, oh, great. Now what do I do? Do I make one blazing glory pass and see what it runs? Or do I drive home while I still have 3 forward gears? So I said, well, let me drive home while I still have 3 forward gears. So that is when I pulled the motor in training and went through it all. And I built the new motor with this turbo. So this is the one I ran for, God, 10 years or more. Incredible power. I mean, I went 1361. It went with the original motor with modification and the rebuilt motor with all the head porting and all that hypo super shit. The difference was it went 101.3, so it picked up like 30 more horse. So could have been this turbo, could have been the throttle body, had a bigger throttle body. I don't know. But anyway, this is a Mitsubishi 17C. It is water and oil cooled like the stock one. It's a nice piece, nothing wrong with it. I drove the car many years. I got tired of it. My sister told me she wanted it back because I don't know if I told you before, she bought it brand new in 87. And she got tired of it after 16 years. So I bought it, I screwed with it. I got tired of it after 5 or 6 years. She wanted it back. She wanted a convertible for the summers. So I set it all up, you know, more like stock. And when I went to give it to her, I was just beating it up to make sure it was okay. And I noticed it wouldn't go over 10 pounds of boost. And I was like, uh-oh, what's wrong with that? I thought I had an intercooler leak or something. I was running out of time to get it back to her. You know, I had to drive up there in my trailer. And I said, I bet this turbo finally gave up. I was being stupid. So I said, you know what? I got that Super 60 sitting on the shelf. I bought it, you know, forever ago to put on this thing. I never used it. It's the same flange. Let me stick that thing on. So let me stop here and show you the Super 60. So this guy is a Garrett Super 60 that I bought off of eBay before I bought that car that had the Mitsubishi on it. This is the one they usually use on Mopars. There is a site I used to go to all the time called Donovan's Dodge Garage. I want to say it's www.thedodgegarage, something like that. This guy Donovan has old Mopars, front-wheel drive Mopars, and he, you know, looks at everything in a very observational, simple way. What makes power, what doesn't. He goes to the track all the time. So I learned a lot off his site. So if you're watching them, Mr. Donovan, thanks. I appreciate everything you taught me. And he swore by the Super 60 Mopar Performance Kit. So I had bought this one for my car, ended up going with the Mitsubishi. So when I thought the Mitsubishi crapped out, I said, well, let's throw the Super 60 on. Screw it, I've had it forever. I want to see how it runs. And I put it on. I had to modify my exhaust outlet. It's similar to the Mitsubishi, but not the same. This is it right here. It's big. It looks butchy, but it doesn't leak. It's just a regular old T3 exhaust outlet that I bored out to 3-inch, over the 3-inch elbow on, and had it, come down in an area that worked for me. So it's humongous. It's 3-inch. I mean, all the way through. Boom! Look at that thing. That's huge. And that's what I've been using for years. I modified it to 50, Super 60, but I put this thing on, and guess what? Still 10 pounds of boost. That's all it would do. And I said, you know what? She wants the car back. Beating my head against the wall. I don't give a shit. 10 pounds of boost is fine with her. She's not going to race it. So I let it go. And she took it. She drove it for years. Didn't put a whole lot of miles on it. And then a couple of years ago, she said, hey, I think I'm done with the Sunbird again. Do you want to take it back? And I was involved with my Firebird and my 442. And I said, I will, just not yet. So long story short, last year, I said, look, I got some time, I got some room, let's take it back. So I took it back, and it ran like garbage. It really ran bad. One of the mufflers had rotted out, and it was starting to huff a little oil. So I fixed the exhaust, and I want to see what's wrong with this thing. I figured it can't be 2 turbos in a row. Something's wrong, something I'm missing, and I don't have it with me. I think it's at my house. But what it was, if you look at old videos of my car, I put a Mitsubishi blow-off valve from the old Eclipse, Mitsubishi front-wheel drive Eclipse and Talons. And there's a way to modify it on the Dodge garage so it'll hold past like 12 or 15 pounds of boost. And it worked great all those years. And it croaked. That's what was wrong with it. I took it off, and instantly I had like 15, 16 pounds of boost. I can't believe that's what it was, but that's what it was. So I don't like this turbo. It's laggy. My car lost bottom end. I mean, it made tremendous power up top when you get on it, but that's not what I want. Not with a 2-liter. I mean, I want bottom end. The Grand Prix Turbo had tremendous bottom end. This Mitsubishi, ferocious bottom end. I mean, I had 342s in it, of course, but still, I mean, with the stock 318 ratio, the Grand Prix Turbo was awesome. So I said, you know what? I'm going to pull the motor apart. I'm going to go through it, and I will upgrade turbos or downgrade, depending how you look at it, again. And when I had this thing on the bench, for the hell of it, I was just playing with the, the compressor wheels and stuff. Look at the play in this thing. Holy shit, look at that. See if I can get a little closer so you can see it better. This should be like, 10 thousandths play, 20 maybe. Look at this thing. Clunk, 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 clunk. I mean, it's not hitting that I can see. But, oh my God, look at that. This thing's probably got 300 miles on it, maybe. I mean, it's got to have almost an 1/8 inch of play. Let's say it's a 16th of play. Look at that. Now, I will guarantee you, I paid $350, $360, whatever I paid for it on eBay. It's not a garage warehouse new warranted turbo. But it's not a Chinese piece of shit either. This thing should have been a decent turbo. I cannot believe it wore out that fast. Look at that. Wow. I mean, the blades aren't hitting the housing, but god damn, they're so close. I mean, wow. So that shocked the crap out of me. Look at that. I mean, look at the gap. Watch it go away. Now it's gone. Now it's back. I mean, holy crap. This thing is trash. So that was an eye-opener. So the moral of the story is be careful what you buy. So that is what I had, and that is what I'm getting rid of, and that's why I'm going with the GBC 350. So that is my turbocharger Odyssey. I don't recommend a Super 60, T3 Super 60, which is, it's a 60 millimeter compressor wheel, I think is where the Super 60 name comes from. I don't recommend it. It's a little big. I mean, unless you're going to run a standard transmission with some gear, like a 390 axle, 411 axle, maybe then you can make up the bottom end with gear multiplication, but I wasn't happy with it. So whether I stick with a 3-inch outlet or I just stick that 2.5-inch deal back on, I don't know. I mean, it served me well. I don't know if you need 3-inch. I do have a 3-inch front pipe in my car, so it seems dumb to me to go from 2.5 with the turbo to 3-inch. So I'll probably try to maintain 3-inch if I can, but we'll see. I haven't got that far yet. So that is all my turbos. There's, that one and that one and that one and that one. And that's the story. I forget what Blouch, whatever it is, charged me to rebuild that. It was probably $350. It wasn't a lot of money. That one actually worked really well. So if you want to go with a T3, cheap, get a Cyclone Typhoon turbo. I'm not sure if they're cheap anymore. Typically when someone hops up a stock car, goes something bigger. To them, the old parts are worth nothing. So that turbo, you probably buy it for next to nothing nowadays. You can still find them. I don't even know, but there's got to be knockoffs out there. Just be careful. Don't buy garbage. Everybody talks about all the slang for the Chinese turbos, the Nagasaki, whatever, noisemakers, whatever the hell they are, or, blah, blah, blah. I mean, it's all funny shit, but it's not funny when you spend $350 and a year later it's junk. So, which is probably the path this thing would have taken. So, whatever. Again, I'm not a turbo expert. Maybe I'm doing something wrong. I doubt it. I mean, you put oil to it, and you put coolant to it, and that's it. I mean, what more is it to do to it? This one this is just oil. Yeah, this one's just oil. Still, you can get what I mean, but I just cannot believe they're playing this thing. Yowza. Oof, look at that. Yowza. Anyway, so that's the story. That's all my turbos, and hopefully me and this new turbo will have a nice life together, and life will be wonderful, and smoky burnouts, and stock reliability. So that's it. I hope you learned something. You probably learned don't be like me and throw money away on turbos like a drunken sailor on shore leave. So that's it for now. See you later. Thanks for watching as usual.